Hi, welcome to Chris World Roundtable. This is the platform of discussion where we discuss very sensitive topics and issues. Some of the questions are very hard to tackle, but we confront them head on. Today, I just want to discuss a bit about the issue here. What causes people to move in and out of the church? Or why people decide to leave churches, or why a member decided to leave a church. There are a couple of reasons for that matter, but I will just highlight few. These are just my views. They are based on my personal experience and research. Why a member decide to leave your church? Let me tell you, as a leader, sometimes you can bang yourself against the walls and blame yourself for something like this. When people leave your church, let me tell you, it's a common trend around South Africa and beyond that people move from one church to the neighboring church or to the next church in the other street. It doesn't respect whether you are powerful. It doesn't matter how anointed you are. It doesn't matter how charismatic you can be or how flamboyant you can be. People will always leave a church. People will always leave the ministry. What are the reasons? Some they just leave because they can't relate with the ministry. They come to a church just because somebody invited them. But once they are there in your ministry, they can't connect with the ministry. They can't connect with the anointing of the house. Therefore, they feel like they are left outside. Therefore, they move out of the church. Some just come to your church because they've been invited by friends or relatives. But once they come there, they discover that you are not the best pastor that they are looking for. Maybe your church is not the best church that they are aspiring to be. Therefore, they will leave the church. There's nothing you can do about it. One of the most difficult thing is to keep or to try to keep a member in a church who doesn't want to stay. There's no way you can please that member. It doesn't matter how powerful you can preach. It doesn't matter how much miracles you can do. Such kind of a member must be released. The sad part is that when people leave your church, very few of them come to you and say goodbye. Some will discover after months that they are no longer with you. But when they came to your church, they allowed you to introduce you to the church sometimes. They arrange an appointment so that you can welcome them. But when it's time for them to leave, they just desert you. So these are some of the experiences in ministry that as a man of God we have to understand. Because sometimes you can blame yourself, sometimes you can try to impress. You go beyond your scope of calling just to impress members. So it's very much important as a man of God that you understand this issue that people will always leave your church. There is a group of people that are seat mongers, position mongers. These people, they come to your church, to your ministry, expecting to be given a position of power. And when they come, when they realize that there's nowhere where they can fit, they will leave the church. They come with the mentality of having a position. They are position seekers. They are comfortable in a church when they have a position. Some of them come to be very close to you as a man of God, but when they find that they can't have that space to be very close to you, they feel like they cannot be part of the ministry, then they leave the church. So it's very much important, men of God, to understand that these dynamics are very much important, and to understand that people will always leave your church, and people will always come to your church. New people will always come. Let me tell you, the doors of the ministry or of the church are always open, wide open. People come in and out. There's an exodus. So as a man of God, you need to understand that people will always come in and come out of the church. We have members that are very sensitive in nature. They can be offended very simple and very easily. So if sometimes you are preaching or you are ministering, there are those that feels that the pastor today was talking about me. That message was about me. Therefore, they take an offense on that. These are members that are not yet matured in the things of God. And I have learned that members leave the church when there are members that they don't want to be engaged in church. They don't want to be tasked with anything in church. All they want is just to come and sit. But when you try to pull them close and give them some tasks and responsibilities, they feel threatened, and then some of them, they go to a point of leaving the church. They are comfortable on their back seats. They don't want to contribute anything. And when you try to check them and you try to engage them in some of the activities of the church, they become uncomfortable. That is one of the cause. So as a man of God, we have to know this dynamics, that we are dealing with people of different characters. But out of all these things, the main cause of the movement of people in and out of the church or out of the ministry is because pastors who have failed to make disciples out of our members. We engaged them as members than disciples, because once we disciple them, we teach them about the ministry, we teach them on how to support in a ministry, we teach them on how to work in a ministry. Therefore, they will understand all these things. But lack of discipleship has caused a lot of problems in a congregation, because some of these things they don't know, that when a pastor give you a task, he just give you just because he want you to develop. He want you to play part in the growth of the ministry. Let me tell you, sometimes it's painful as a man of God to find that people that you have groomed, that were very close to you, they leave the ministry without even saying goodbye. Yet when you meet them across the street, they expect you to greet them as normal and don't go beyond. You see, these are some of the things that are very much critical in a ministry. But the point is that people will always leave the church. Then as a man of God, you have to outgrow that feeling of pain, that feeling of feeling like as if you were not a pastor enough. Let me tell you, those that have been called for you, they will be there for you. Through the thick and thin, they will be there. Through your ups and downs, they will be there. Through all the stages of ministry, they will stick by your side because they've been discipled, they've been taught, they understand the ministry. But let me tell you, God's people, that the most difficult and dangerous people in a congregation are people who come to your ministry without the knowledge or without the background of the ministry. They don't know where you come from. They don't have the background of the ministry. They come with different doctrines. They come from different places. And then when they come to your church, they come with a mindset that sometimes is different from what you are teaching or from the doctrine of your church. Therefore, such people, they struggle a lot to understand the direction of the ministry. They struggle a lot to fit in the ministry. So as a man of God, it's very much important to understand the kind of people that you are leading, that you are leading a mixed bag, a different congregation, a congregation with different kinds of people, different walks of life. So it's important that you understand this. So back to what I was saying, that people will always leave your church. It doesn't matter whether you are anointed. It doesn't matter whether your church is big. It doesn't matter what you can do to them. You can do whatever to please them, but if they want to move out, they will move out. And don't try to impress them by doing things that you cannot afford in order to keep them in a ministry. You see, I've learned that ministry has its own way to cleanse itself. Ministry has its own way to renew itself. And when others leave the church, others come into the church. When others get fed up with you, some come into your life and help to accomplish their vision. So my message is that God's people, more especially preachers and pastors, know that people will always leave the church. And people will always come into your church. You will always see visitors every now and then. Why? Because there is an exodus of congregation. It is so unfortunate that the churches of today has few converts. You find that half of the congregation that come to a church, they come from another church. And if you can check how many people were converted through your ministry, you find that very few. So meaning that you always have that church or that congregation that is having people who come with different doctrine. Let me tell you, it's easy to groom a convert than to work with a person who come from somewhere with a different doctrine, who come from another church. Sometimes it's very difficult, but a new convert won't give you a lot of problems because most of the things that you teach him is new to him. He hardly questions a lot of things that you do. Your church is his home, is his first home. You are the first pastor. So therefore, you are likely to have good results out of that particular person. So I wanted to share this to you guys and pastors, that the church or the doors of the ministry are always open. People will always leave your church, but know that God is there. God is there. Keep well, guys. Share this to your friends. Share this to whoever. Chris World Round Table, where we discuss very, very difficult questions and come with answers where we can. Thank you.